Okay, how's everybody doing today? Of course, my name is Kent. The channel is EOS Bitcoin San Diego. I got to get my screen adjusted better here so that I can see what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. Move it up just a little bit. Maybe just make it a little bit smaller here. There we go. That way we can kind of see the markets, of which I want to talk about a little bit about today. Also, let me bring up some chats. So if anybody would like to join in, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to try to make this a daily vlog. I don't think I'm going to be doing any more from the streets. I'm just going to do it from my computer because there's so much information I can show you from the computer that I can't show you if I'm just walking around with my selfie stick. So hopefully I'll be able to do this daily. That's what I'd like to do. That's what we're aiming for. That's what I'm shooting for, is to do this daily. So hopefully we'll see me here daily. A lot of people will say, oh, subscribe, hit the ringer, hit the bells, hit the likes. I don't ask for any of that stuff. I do this mainly because I'm doing the research myself anyway. And I just want to talk about what it is that I'm seeing and what I'm thinking, and then share it with other people and get some interactions going on between me and a group of people that are interested in the same topic. So as we can see, let's just go to the markets. And as we can see, Bitcoin's back down to $37,000. It was over $40,000, which is a bit of a disappointment, but we know the direction it's taking. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And time in the market means, hey, how you doing? Nice, thank you, appreciate it. The first comment is always a nice one, because that, you know, you're doing everything right. People are hearing you. What are your thoughts on bullish global? Bullish global. I don't know what bullish global is. Is that just being bullish on all cryptocurrencies, or is that one particular global? Is that a particular cryptocurrency? The eighth sphere number one. Appreciate it. So I don't know. Give me some more information. That's how we're interacting here. Let me know what it is. I am very bullish globally on Bitcoin, and I can tell you why. And I'm just going to go to this. Michael Saylor, everybody knows who he is, especially if you're following crypto. You've seen his videos. I think he's probably one of the true people that is giving the information as he sees it, and not in some way of you know. And a guy like Elon Musk he's a weird guy. I mean, I can't really describe what is going on in a guy like Elon Musk's mind. You know, he doesn't seem he seems to be a little bit off. You know, I don't know. You know, obviously the guy has a lot of you know, a great mind, because he's done so many things with his companies that he's built. But he always seems just a little bit off and kind of hard to follow, and a little bit cryptic, and, you know, I don't, you know, a little bit of where you at on this. But this guy, Saylor, seems to always be pretty much serious about what he's thinking. It's the new exchange coming from Block One. Gosh, why didn't I know? I know, I've heard of it. Yeah, I bullish. Yes. Thanks for letting me know that. I've been going to check into that. A bullish global. Yeah, I have heard about that. And in fact, who were we talking to? I was talking to our friend June about that just the other night when we went out to dinner. So here's June. I'll show a picture of June. We were just talking about that the other night when we went out to dinner. He was telling me about bullish. And let me see if I took that picture down. Oh, right here it is. Yeah, we were talking about this the other night. He mentioned bullish global too. So yeah, I'm very familiar. Not very familiar, but I was going to take a look at this. This is something on my list of things to do. And as everybody knows that watches this channel, I've had a few minor problems here recently, so I haven't been up to date as much as I should be. But right there's June. Let me see if I could do this. Move it over to the middle of the screen a little better. But he was telling me about a bullish global. So yeah, I'm gonna. Peter Thiel is in, so is Novogratz. So yeah, you know, I got the right players. Yeah, so there's June, myself, and my son, and he was telling me about that. So yeah, it's good stuff. I'm gonna be talking about that. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a good thing for me to start looking into, stuff like that. So anyway, on to Michael Saylor. and some stuff that he said that I think is very profound. And of course, I can just play a little bit of this because of YouTube standards as far as how much you can use of somebody else's content. So I'm going to just play a few seconds here so you can hear what he says. And then we'll talk about what he just says in a few seconds here. But listen to this.
The currency is being devalued at 20% a year, not 7% a year, right? I turned up the heat.
Okay, what he just said was so profound. I don't think many people get it. We're almost living in a time where there's so much strangeness going on in the world today that so much is being missed because we just can't take in the volume of information that is being given us and how to process it and how it's going to affect us in the future. And when he says that the currency is being debased at 20% a year, that means everybody's being affected by this in a huge way. Just think of your paycheck. You're getting paid in a currency, the United States dollars if you're in the United States, and it affects all global currency because US dollar is currently global currency, it's world reserve currency. So what you're being paid is depreciating 20% a year. That is enormous. How do you make back that 20% a year? And that's what he's talking about, and that's what really motivated him to get into Bitcoin. And the way, and I'll just kind of give you the overview of this video. If you haven't watched it, I would encourage you to watch it. It's like 10 minutes long, which is pretty short. But I'll give you just another quick snippet. I think it's 6:02 is where I want to go. So think about that. The currency is being debased at 20% a year. And listen to this is kind of what he says what the companies are doing. Well, listen.
A year. Because now you got to grow 30 or 35% a year because the hurdle rate just.
With Fundrise, you can invest here, from there.
Got an ad.
Or
Sorry
there,
about that.
from here.
Just jumped. Now you're pushed out on the risk curve here. You got to take massive risk as a company to grow that.
Okay, so this is what he's saying. Basically what he's saying that the currency is being debased at 20% a year. So it's forcing companies to do some crazy stuff to stay ahead of the 20% depreciation in order to grow. So if you're trying to grow your company 20% a year, you're actually trying to grow your company 40% a year because 20% of it is being lost with the currency. Just like 20% of your wages are being lost, 20% of your work products being lost, 20% is being eaten away by the massive amount of money being printed. So this is how he approached his strategy of Bitcoin. This is what he had to do. What he said he was doing, what he had been doing, was he was investing in the high-tech stocks. The high-tech stocks like Google, Amazon, Apple, they call them the FANG, Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, these kinds of things, because they were innovative and they were growing faster than the 20%. So what they were doing is they were borrowing against their company's portfolio, or actually borrowing against their company at, interest rates of 5 basis points, 4 basis points, 3 basis points. As the basis points went down, they were leveraging more and more to buy back their own stock. This is really illegal and should be illegal. And let me show you the truth behind this. I was just going to read this. For most of the 20th century, I'm going to start reading right here where it says that's crazy. This is a Forbes article. For most of the 20th century, stock buybacks were deemed illegal because they were thought to be a form of stock market manipulation. But since 1982, when they were essentially legalized by the SEC, buybacks have become perhaps the most popular financial engineering tool in the C-suite tool shed. And it's obvious why Wall Street loves them. Buyback companies' stock can inflate a company's share price and boost its earnings per share metrics that are guided lucrative executive bonuses. So what they're saying here is the only way the companies, they're not innovative enough to come up with ways of growing their companies enough to overcome the currency devaluation and enough to make money on the overhead that they have. They've gone to buying back their own stock, forcing their own stock much higher making shareholder value greater. And the only way they've been able to stay up with the devaluation of the currency is by buying back their own stock, which is basically stock manipulation and illegal and shouldn't be done. So since 1982, when this problem started, 71 is when we went off the gold standard. Now 82, the companies can't make up the difference between what they're losing in currency devaluation and what they have to make as a company in order to be profitable. Now they're having to buy back their own stock, and that's being done at very low interest rates. In fact, it's gotten to the point where the interest rates are zero, and then don't look like they're going up anytime soon. So that's your first option as a company like Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies, to take money and invest in their own stock, propping up their stock shareholder value, propping up the value of their stock by manipulating their own stock and buying it back, which is really gaming the stock market, gaming the system. It's gaming you. It's gaming everybody by using your money to buy back something to make it more valuable when nothing has happened. You didn't create anything new. You didn't build anything better. You didn't do anything greater. You just bought back your own stock, made it more valuable. That's what you're doing. Buying at a very low interest rate. So you're buying it literally, 4 or 5%. And that's what's going on. And that's why they talk about the Federal Reserve giving, some people have advantages with the Federal Reserve, like Warren Buffett, Michael Saylor, Elon Musk. They're able to borrow money very cheaply from the feds to either float a bond or to buy back their stock and keep the values higher, keeping the stock market higher, making everybody happier. The 401ks look better. Everybody looks better. But this game is running out because we're at 20%. How much higher can it go, especially with the companies fully leveraged? Okay, that's number one thing that the companies have been doing over the last 30, 40 years is buying back their own stock to keep this game going, this game of inflation, this game of devaluating the currency going. The second thing they've been doing, and let me go back to the clip with Michael Saylor, is I will replay it because I actually played it a little bit before, but I'll go back and replay. They're actually doing some really crazy stuff, wild, extravagant stuff to try to make more value for the shareholders. And here, I'll just play it again so you can listen to this again.
Percentage of stocks can grow 30% a year. Because now you got to grow 30 or 35% a year because the hurdle rate just jumped. Now you're pushed out on the risk. Okay,
there you go. So you're pushed out far out on the risk. You got to take some huge risks in order to overcome the devaluation of the currency at 20%. The first thing they're doing is they're buying back their own stock. The second thing they're doing is they're taking huge risks. And one of the big beneficiaries of that huge risk mentality was a guy by the name of Mark Cuban. Okay, Mark Cuban, I think people know who he is. He's a guy on Shark Tank. He runs around and tells everybody how smart he is. But anyway, this guy comes up with this idea of broadcast.net. At the time, Yahoo had lots and lots of money. They were taking huge risks, and they were buying things that didn't have much. They had a huge risk factor attached to them. And one of them was broadcast.com. And I'll just read you a little bit of this. In April 1st, 1999, less than 9 months after the IPO, Yahoo announced the acquisition of broadcast.com for $5.7 billion in stock. So Cuban and his partners got $5.7 billion of Yahoo stock. At the time, broadcast.com had 570,000 users. 570,000 users. That's minuscule. That's and they paid $5.7 billion. That's what Saylor was just saying. Companies are forced to take massive risks. So they went out and they bought a bad idea. They paid $5.7 billion in stock. They only got 570,000 users. And the purchase price was $10,000 per user. So Mark Cuban has this company that he's only got 570,000 users. And come on, there's a lot of YouTube channels that got more than subscribers than 570,000. I mean, that's a small amount of people. and they paid. Yahoo spent 10,000 per customer per user to buy this out. So Mark Cuban was probably one of the most fortunate people to ever live because of this. But this is an example of what companies have had to do to make up the losses from the devaluation of the currency, and also by the fact that they need to grow their companies fast enough for their companies to have expansion and to see some growth. So they went out and did crazy things like this, bought broadcast.com for $5.7 billion, of which Cuban, this guy, Mark Cuban, of whom I cannot stand, I just cannot stand this guy, but I'll bring up his picture anyway. Most people know who he is, was the beneficiary of an outrageous gamble by Yahoo. And this guy ends up becoming a billionaire over a lousy idea that only had 500,000 users, and to this day has I don't even think there's anything that even is attached to broadcast.com. So if you just go to broadcast.com, yeah, I think where does it go to? Probably, yeah, site cannot be reached. I didn't spell it right, so. But I think it goes back to Yahoo. Yeah, there it goes. It goes back to Yahoo. So Yahoo spent $5.7 billion on a redirect back to their homepage. This is the kind of thing that's going on today. That is why you have to be bullish on something like Bitcoin, because they've got to figure out a way to stay ahead of the game, and there's no really way of doing it. They're over leveraged as far as the stock's concerned and buying back their own stock. There are the opportunities to buy something that is a new Facebook or a new Amazon or a new thing are very, very rare. Those opportunities are rare, and more likely than not, you're going to end up with broadcast.com than you are going to end up with Amazon. So you can see that the position that Michael Saylor and people that own companies are in, trying to come up with those kinds of ideas to do that. So here comes Saylor. He's got to figure out a way to beat the 20% and also grow his company 20%. So he's got to come up with a 40% return on his for his company, 40% return. So that's how he discovers Bitcoin. And that's why he's so bullish on Bitcoin. That's why I think everyone would be bullish on Bitcoin. If you own a company, I think it's easier right now to buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin than it is to do something where you're trying to go out and create, build, grow, do anything, and do it in this environment, this market, this environment of massive inflation. The other thing I was going to show you, this is a really good site I found the other day. It's called studio.glassnode.com. I'll put a link below. But anyway, the nice thing, you got something like Dogecoin. Dogecoin, everybody knows. Dogecoin, where's Dogecoin at right now? It's probably around 30 cents. 30 cents. I actually bought it at 31 cents, so I'm a little bit behind on this. But anyway, Dogecoin's made a lot of money. But everybody knows Dogecoin is basically a copy of Bitcoin and was made kind of as a meme about a dog that really doesn't have very, very much value. One of the reasons why I think Elon bought Dogecoin is because it didn't do an ICO, initial coin offering, and it probably isn't going to have any security exchange issues. So I think that's one of the reasons why you picked Dogecoin to play around with. But he's been playing around with Dogecoin. But when you see that Dogecoin is primarily owned by a couple people, I think I listened to who's the guy, the Ethereum guy? Oh gosh, this guy right here, Hawkinson. He was on this Lex, I think it's Lex Lieberman or Lex Friedman, and he was talking about Dogecoin, and he was saying that just a few people own most of Dogecoin. It's being pretty much monopoly. There's a monopoly of just a few people to own, almost all the tokens. So the few people that bought in are basically the retail investors that are paying 30 cents, something like that. When the founders or the people that hold all the Deutsch want to get rid of it, they can sell it down to zero, and basically everybody that put money in after that, they're going to be able to take that money. So whenever that game is over with, it's over with. But the interesting thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin had about 10 years to get to get into the hands of small investors. And that's what I was going to show you on this class. If you look at the people that own Bitcoin, this is why I love Bitcoin so much, because Bitcoin is held in a lot of hands. Not too many people control large percentage of Bitcoin. This is on market chain indicators, and this is like I say, I'll put the link. But according to this, the addresses with balances of less than 10% of a Bitcoin. So 10% of Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin with? If Bitcoin's $10,000, that means they got $1,000 in Bitcoin. The number of people that have 10% of a Bitcoin is 3,146,585. That's strong hands. It's held by a lot of different people with small amounts of Bitcoin, not large amounts, small amount. Unlike Deutsch, that's held primarily by just a few people. The addresses that have more than 1,000 Bitcoin, and 1,000 Bitcoin's a lot of money. That's huge people. That's people that are, 1,000 Bitcoin. I mean, you're talking about these are probably huge institutions, very wealthy people. That's only 2,168 people. So you got 2,168 people with more than 1,000 Bitcoin. You got 3 million people with 10% of one Bitcoin. That's a nice distribution to have as far as Bitcoin's concerned if you're holding Bitcoin. The other thing I was looking at on this map a little bit was that there's a lot of good information. I want to go through this and really dissect this one of these days. I haven't had enough time to look at it. I found it just this morning when I was doing some research, but I'm going to study this very closely. And there's some numbers here that really jumped out at me. That one of them was the amount of people that owned less than 10% of one Bitcoin. This is the other one I was going to talk about. The long-term holding sentiment. In the last 24 hours, 84% of the accounts have held. So 84% of the accounts in the last 24 hours have not moved. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is these are the hodled, the people that are holding that aren't using the Bitcoin accounts. Basically, those wallets have not had any interactions or anybody sell or buy, or they could have possibly been lost. Is 7 million Bitcoin. So 7 million BTC isn't moving around or has been lost. That's a lot, considering there's only 21 million to begin with. So when you got so few coins, and then you have a lot of them being held or lost, and then you have a lot of them being held by people with small amounts of money in it, which probably means they're not moving it. I mean, if you got less than 10% of a Bitcoin, I mean, that's usually not money that people are going to live on. That's probably money that they're just going to leave in Bitcoin and hope that something big happens with it, which it probably will. So this is what you've got going on with Bitcoin versus the stock market, where you've got over leveraged companies buying back their own stock and trying to do the home run hit or the Hail Mary with a company like broadcast.com. This is why I think that these prices right now are going to hold steady and probably go a lot higher. To me, when you see $37,000 Bitcoin, that's probably where the money, the big money that's trying to drive Bitcoin down to buy more Bitcoin, trying to force people to sell, try to put them in situations where they're over leveraged. This is about where they're at in the $40,000 range. This is about where their exposure is to how far they can take it down and not get buried. So, they can't take it down to 10,000, because if they took it down to 10,000, they wouldn't be able to cover that, buy back into the market at a later date and get the money and get it back that cheaply. They're trying to get it down to a point where they can buy back later cheaper, or buy back, get it down where they're forcing it down to like 30, 35,000, so they can buy maybe down at 30,000. When they're selling at 37,000, buy it back at 30,000. Well, they've made 7,000. That's why I'm saying this range that we're in right now is probably the bottom. This is the floor, because if they could go lower, they would go lower. If they could go to 10, they'd go to 10, because if they knock it down to $10,000, sell at $10,000, and then everybody start saying Bitcoin is crashing, we'll sell. They could buy back at 5. They're selling at 10. They buy back at 5. They've made $5,000. But what I'm saying is basically this is their window of trying to buy back Bitcoin. It's the $40,000 range. So they're trying to sell within this range to get it beat up, get it driven down far enough to where they can buy back. So I don't see Bitcoin going down much more than where it's been right here recently, which is 30,000. So we're probably in the $30,000 to $37,000 range. And if anybody's held Bitcoin for very long, they know that it wasn't that long ago Bitcoin was $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. So the big money has come in in this area, the $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 range. That's when I think that Bitcoin has really arrived, and that's when you're starting to see the people accumulate large amounts, the people that can actually try to drive the price down, which is what they're doing right now, trying to drive the price down and get people that are overextended and over leveraged to sell. So that's why I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I'm also very bullish on EOS. And the reason I'm bullish on EOS is because EOS has done what the competitors have not done. I mean, one of the interesting things to me is and that's why I had Charles Hoskinson up. Charles Hoskinson he's actually one of the founders of Ethereum. The guy's worth a lot of money. Who knows how money? He could be worth $1 billion, more, maybe more, depending on how much Ethereum he has. He's been working on Cardano for a long time. I don't know when they created Cardano. Let me just go to Cardano. See if I can pull up the Wikipedia on Cardano. I don't know when it was. It looks like it was founded in 2015. So this guy's been working on it from 2015. So 2015, 16. Sorry about that. Get rid of that. In fact, I should shut off my ringer. So he's been working on Cardano since 2015. And as of, and you think of blockchain as two worlds. You've got the store of value world, which is Bitcoin, which is not very fast. It doesn't have a lot of extra bells and whistles. And if you listen to Hawkinson talk about it, he just really tells you how awful Bitcoin is, how it just doesn't do anything. It's outdated information. It's outdated. It's an outdated blockchain. It can't do smart contracts, and he just really dogs Bitcoin. He spends, I think on this one video I watched, he spends 20 minutes telling you how bad Bitcoin is. But at the same time, he's been working on something since 2015. We're at 2021, and he still has yet to launch smart contracts on his blockchain. He says Cardano will get smart contracts in 90 days. I just wanted to play you a little bit of what he said. Go back to 210 here. So if you listen to this video, he gives you the most long, drawn out, convoluted, hard to follow, in my mind, hard to follow roadmap for Cardano and its launching of being able to run smart contracts. Charlie, I'll tell you what he says.
Oh, it's just those things aren't ready. So the first step is say fork it, so all those rules are now there. Okay, that's what we did with Alonzo Blue. We forked a testnet based layer, and it successfully survived going from Mary to Alonzo, which means that you can move transactions from one side to the other. Both systems work. And then the next step is say, okay, well, are the stake pool operators, the people who run the infrastructure, able to run this testnet just like they run Cardano?
Okay, so he basically goes through this long process of all these different names, Alonzo, and all these different mathematicians that he's admired over the years, and how this all has to somehow come together in some mysterious, magical way, so someday that it can run a smart contract. Well, guess what? EOS is already running smart contracts, and they're doing it very successfully. In fact, we are running a smart contract on EOS, the challenge application. So they've already accomplished what this guy's been working on since 2015. And he still hasn't gotten it done. And he's still giving himself 90 more days to do it. And he's still trying to, and doesn't even really know if it's going to work. In fact, if you watch the entire interview, he has kind of a funny line. He says, this Lex asks him, he goes, well, are you worried about any of this stuff? He goes, oh, I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours crying. Actually, pretty funny. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't know. I mean, he's leaving this up to this community to try to get this thing pulled together and get it to work and make sure it all works well and that something there's not some major crash, like he said with Vitalik and the DAO hack. I mean, you got people creating code, you got people adding, it's kind of open source, and he doesn't even know how this is all going to come together and work and how well it's going to work. But, you know, he bashes Bitcoin, but he's been working on something since 2015 that has yet to materialize. Nothing negative to say about Hawkinson. I hope that he gets it going. I hope that he makes his whole system and thing work. I'm just saying, if you're going to, you know, knock a project like Bitcoin, then and then turn around and say, yeah, but I got something better, but I'm still working on it. And when it does finally happen, it's going to be better than everything. It's going to do this, it's going to do that, and it's going to run the world. But it has yet to happen, and I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know if it can happen. And I'm not the one doing it. It's in other people's hands. Which is basically the same argument Vitalik makes about Ethereum 2.0. Exactly how I say. Vitalik and Charles Hawkinson sound a lot alike. I can see how they used to work together. They both have ideas yet to be materialized, but they have plans and they have visions, and they've got ideas of how this is all going to work, but it just hasn't quite played out yet, and we don't know when it's going to play out, and it keeps getting delayed, and we don't know how it's going to happen. In the same time, you've got EOS, which has already been completed, already done, running very well. Like I say, I don't ask anybody to subscribe to this channel, to give me a thumbs up, to give me a like, or do anything like that. I do ask one thing of anybody that watches this channel. Please check out our challenge application. Because if you want to see a completed project on the blockchain, we're running one right now. There's none of this stuff is running on any of these other blockchains. It's only running on EOS. EOS is the only one that's running smart contracts. Hawkinson hasn't even created the ability to run a smart contract on Cardano. Vitalik can run simple stuff. I mean, basically what Vitalik's Ethereum has done so far has been very successful at launching the ERC20 token. So if you wanted to launch your own idea through the ERC20 token, the Ethereum worked very well, and that's the same thing with the Cardano. They are basically ways of launching projects through ICOs, and that's what they've both been doing. That's what they've done very successfully. As far as doing all the other stuff, they haven't done anything. I mean, or very little. I mean, I was looking at the numbers on DApp Radar. The DApp Radar. Is this DApp Radar? Yeah, this is DApp Radar. Yeah, I was looking at the numbers of Ethereum. You look at the users of some of this stuff on Ethereum. I mean, you've got here, you know, they got a few users here on. You got 44,000. You got 15,000. You got 5. I mean, we're talking thousands of people here. 929, number 7th position, and with a market cap of, what is Ethereum? A market cap of $271 billion. $271 billion, and you've got, you know, 44,000 users, 15,000 users, 4,000 users, 3,000 users. This is the number of users. Oh, these are maybe, the first one was an ad, 365. But this is the amount of users you have on a project that is valued at $271 billion. And you got Cardano, which is the smart contract platform that hasn't even launched smart contracts yet, it's $47 billion. And both of these 2.0 and Cardano, they're not, they really don't have good ways of describing how this is going to happen, how they're going to go to proof of stake, how this is going to work with all their governances, and how it's going to work with the users. I mean, with Ethereum, I don't even know how they're doing the stakeholders for the mining to continue to take place. I mean, I've looked at the chain. I don't know. I was going to research that. How do you identify these miners? I mean, we always go that are not miners now with proof of stake. They're actually stakeholders. So with EOS, everybody says, oh, it's centralized, but we know who the block producers are. In fact, Google was one, but it never moves up the charts. I got to find out why. But with Ethereum, I don't even know who the stakeholders are going to be and how do you identify them, or if you need to identify them, or should we identify them, or if they don't get identified, do we know if that is centralization? Or if we do identify them, maybe that isn't part of the protocol and the way it works. I'm not sure. I got to look into it, but it's pretty hard to find out that kind of information. And I don't know if he's purposely being vague on the information because he doesn't want it to be somebody to attack it, or if it's because they just haven't thought it out that far. But in the meantime, you got a $271 billion market cap on Ethereum and 47 billion on a Cardano. But now down here, we've got EOS, which actually runs, and if you go to the DApp radar and EOS, I mean, not that there's a lot of users there, but this stuff is actually running. I mean, we have stuff running. We're running. I mean, we're running, making challenges every day. In fact, I was going to read you a challenge from our challenge application. My son sent it to me the other day. I was going to say, and if you haven't done challenge, or if you haven't never done, it's very easy. I mean, and that's another thing. We are running in the App Store and we're running in the Google Play Store. It's just challenge, CHALLENGE, EOS. Operational. It's one of the few in the world applications, dApps, that is running on the blockchain. We're running on the blockchain right now. And we had somebody that made a challenge today. It was actually kind of a sad challenge. I lost my sister back in February. She was 29 and left behind 2 little boys. One of them 9, the other is 2. We're trying to get his mother a headstone. There is a thing advertising 5,000 reward. He and she are pretty cute. Not asking you to spend any money. Just post for votes. Thank you to anyone who is out, who helps out. Thank you to everyone who gave us likes or used a link we've posted. Truly grateful for your kindness, safety, and God bless. So she's put a link. Let me see if I can get this on my phone. I tried to figure out a way so I could take my phone and make it so you could see this from this live stream, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it. But that's the post, and there's the link. I'll post the link below in this video. But this is the way. I mean, this is actually up using and helping people right now. It's helping someone get a headstone for their sister that passed away, and she's not asking for money. She's asking just that she would get this out to other people, and that people would read this. And this is a picture of her nephew, probably the mother's son, and then he lost his mother. He's lost his mother, and they're trying to buy her headstone. So, you can go on the challenge application and you can actually help her out. I mean, this is helping somebody out that is trying to, help people out that have had a tragedy. And this is the stuff we're doing. This is stuff that's running now. This is stuff that's going on now, today. And we're doing it. And it's on the challenge application. And this is running on EOS blockchain. Like I say, the world does not make a lot of sense right now. That things that are running are being discounted and get very, very little attention, almost no attention. But things that aren't running, but have big personalities involved, like Charles Hawkinson and Vitalik Buterin, they have all the attention and all the money and are getting all the help. But people like EOS, people like Challenge, like us, we basically get ignored, totally ignored. But we have someone, and I'm not sure what country she's from, trying to help people out. And we do this in so many different ways, not only for people to help buy a headstone for somebody, but also to try to help people that, to do basic challenges so they can earn some cryptocurrency, so they can maybe help their families, to survive. I mean, this is what the blockchain's about. It's about giving access to people around the world, access to a system that they've been denied for so many years and so long. And we're trying to give it to them through this application. We're trying to give it to them through EOS. So, as much as as in my mind, I've said both good and bad things about Dan Larimer, but the one thing I will say about him is he finishes his projects. And even though maybe he doesn't stick around after they're done, and I don't know where Dan's at right now. I don't know if somebody said he was jumping back in and where he's at, or I haven't really kept track of him, but he completes the projects and EOS is running. That's why this channel is named EOS Bitcoin San Diego, because EOS Bitcoin are the two operational, functioning, working applications or protocols, blockchains that are running and working and doing what they said they were going to do. And of course, we live in San Diego. And of course, we are the challenge application, and we're running an application on EOS, and we're one of the few in the world running today. One of the very few in the world running today. So this is why I name it this, and this is why I think that the world is kind of upside down, especially when you got somebody like Elon Musk driving the price of Dogecoin up into, where's Deutsche at? Into the tens of billions of dollars. Dogecoin is, and I mean, it doesn't do anything. Dogecoin doesn't do anything. $39 billion market cap. All this stuff is outlandish. It's just actually crazy. Not to mention the fact that our good friend Charles Hawkinson, he was, and if these clips that I showed you from these videos are good videos to watch. I've watched these videos. The interesting thing is that Charles believes that he's upset with Elon because Elon's drug a lot of people into Dogecoin, and of course Dogecoin doesn't have a lot of intellectual value, and then also Dogecoin has a lot of insider control. So he's upset that Elon's drug Deutsch into the mainstream, and now people know about it, and he's afraid. He talked about the waitress that waited on him, and she says, "What do you do for a living?" He says, "I'm into cryptocurrencies." She didn't really know what it was, but she did buy some Dogecoin because Elon Musk said it was a good deal, or that she should buy some, and he was really upset with Elon for having a waitress that probably couldn't afford to lose money in a coin that's being controlled by just a few people, and he was upset about that. And he's saying, hey, look, Elon isn't going to get drugged in front of Congress. I may get drugged in front of Congress. Well, you know what? He may get drugged in front of Congress. There's an attorney, and I kind of like watching his channel, but I think he's pretty naive about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, because I've asked him about EOS, and he doesn't even seem to know what EOS is about, or he's never even covered EOS or ever even talked about EOS. I'm trying to think of what his channel is. It's let me see if I can scroll through some of these, see if because I do watch his stuff. Jeremy Hogan, I think, is well, anyway, this is an attorney that he's covering the XRP lawsuit. He's been doing this, and he's kind of a quirky guy. He's got kind of a really he always has some sort of a funny saying something that he does or anything like this, but he's kind of a strange guy. But anyway, I think he's probably a decent attorney, but he's following these ICOs, and he's kind of like ranking whether, let me see if I can find that This one right here. This is the one I'm talking about. Attorney Jeremy Hogan gives Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, and Binance Coin an SEC danger rating. So he's telling you which, and I'd watch this video because it's a good one. It's called Legal Briefs, is his channel. He's telling you which ones are in danger of being possibly sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Of course, two that he talked about was he really thinks that probably Binance will have a problem with the SEC. Ethereum may have a problem, especially going to proof of stake. And of course, he didn't say anything about Cardano because the problem with this guy is I think his worldview of cryptos is pretty small. He knows about Bitcoin, knows about Ethereum, he knows about Binance, but I don't think he's ever heard of EOS or even have talked about it. I've watched a few of his videos, and of course, EOS made a settlement with Securities and Exchange Commission. They made a deal with them, and he's never even brought that into his videos or talked about how that would work out. So, yeah, but watch this because Charles Hawkinson probably is going to have to give. He's probably going to be under the. I'm not saying he's going to get sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, but he's probably going to be under the scrutiny because he raised hundreds of millions of dollars and did not go through the legal process of doing so. The correct legal process, which is he had to meet the Howey test, and of course nobody made a ruling on it, and he just went ahead and did it. And I think he did it without any permissions whatsoever. So I think Hawkinson's got a problem with the Securities and Exchange Commission. He thinks he's decentralized. I listened to him talk, but he thinks he's decentralized. But like I say, he's not going to be the judge and jury on that one. And I think all these that did ICOs through Ethereum are going to be subject to some penalty by the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm not saying they're all going to be sued, but I'm saying that there's going to be a penalty to pay, almost like a tax. So you're going to have to go back and pay your tax to the Securities and Exchange Commission for doing the ICO, for raising hundreds of millions of dollars and not having to give any of it away to the regulators. So I think that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to read a few of these comments here and then check out, and we'll do this hopefully again today. Dan Limmer is working on EOS governance with the EOS community. Yeah, good. Like I say, Dan finishes his projects, and Dan's got a project that worked, so I admire Dan for that. The exchange days, the exchanges days in government are numbered. Yeah, I mean, fundamentals. Anyone who does not notice that we, the biggest exchange ever, backed by the biggest investors running on EOS, is blind. EOS gets no respect. They just do not get any respect. Polygon is incredible for Ethereum. Ethereum has not started their 2.0. As long as Ethereum is running proof of work, they're never going to run at they're going to be running at, less than speeds to run DeFi, which is what Ethereum is supposed to be, as a DeFi platform, DeFi blockchain. They're never going to run a DeFi platform if they're running as proof of work. And right now, we have no date that they're ever going to run proof of stake. So we don't know. We'll see what happens. But like I say, the world is upside down as far as this stuff is concerned. I wouldn't, in any way, shape, or form, ever think that Bitcoin isn't going to go up, especially in light of the fact that our money is depreciating at 20% a year, and that there is no cap on how much money they can print. There's a hard cap on Bitcoin. It's 21 million. And Bitcoin is deflationary. So there's no hard cap on any of these others. So we'll see what happens. But my money is on Bitcoin and EOS. I will continue to talk about those two. How the world views it is not up to me. I cannot tell you why people or why things are the way they are, because I don't understand them. I don't understand how you can have a project worth $271 billion that has not even yet performed to the capacity that it was envisioned to perform at, which is running, entire applications of decentralized finance. I mean, this is what it's meant to be, and it hasn't done it. And Cardano hasn't even run a smart contract yet, and they got 47 billion. So Anyway, that's the way the world works. That's the way the world turns, and we'll just see what happens. But these things, like I say, they don't add up to me. They don't make any sense to me, and that's why I'm going to continue to talk about this on a daily basis on this channel, because I want other people to know that, hey, you can't just take things for granted. You just can't say, hey, look, just because somebody comes on and says something's going to happen means it's going to happen. We see this all the time, and we also see the fact that when you start building stuff, the problems that you have building it. It doesn't work the first time. It doesn't work the second time. It doesn't work the third time. Sometimes it doesn't work the fifth and sixth time. I think on Challenge, we're up to the 7th or 8th version, and we're still trying to fix stuff that doesn't work. So when you haven't even launched yet, you may be 2, 3, 4 years in the process of getting this stuff up and working to a point where it really works well. So yeah, this is the world we live in, and this is why, you know, I'm skeptical of stuff like this. So I'm skeptical of Vitalik keeps saying that he's going to have 2.0 launched, you know, in 2021 or 2022. I think now he says 2022. I'm skeptical of Charles Hawkinson when he says, yeah, I'm going to have, you know, smart contracts running in the next 90 days. I'm skeptical of that kind of stuff. I'm not skeptical of EOS because we're running an application on it, and we're running every day, and we have people like the person I just showed you reaching out to a community that we've built, hoping to get some help for her family who's lost, you know, a loved one. That's a completed project. That's a project that's reached out and touched somebody, and now that person's reaching back, and they're asking the community for support. That's something finished. That's not something that we're yet working on. We got it finished. It's done. It's working. People are using it. This is a person that's come on our application looking for help from the community of a community of which we built. And so this is what it's about. It's about reaching out and helping people that are in places that where other people are in a position to help and can help. And that's what we've done, and that's what EOS has done, and that's what Bitcoin's done too. Bitcoin is helping people in El Salvador right now. You know, if they can now do remittances or give their money to people in their family back in their home country while they're working in another country, not have to pay all these exorbitant banking fees, that's another way of helping people. So these applications, so for somebody like Hawkinson to knock Bitcoin, when Bitcoin is actually doing something, where he's just talking about doing something, is, in my mind, not very healthy. So that's the way it is. I appreciate you watching.